All right, so all of that stuff that we just talked about, getting enough sleep, exercise, play, meaningful social connections, all of that is like your emotional climate. And if you do all of those things, you can create a positive emotional climate where basically the day-to-day is pretty positive, is pretty good. Now, even if you have an amazing emotional climate, even if you've done a great job creating an emotional world for yourself where it's pretty positive on a day-to-day basis, you're still going to have these storms of emotion, right? And that's fine. That's natural. That's good. That's like how the system is supposed to be functioning. So the first thing you need to do is create a climate, but then we also need to know how to handle those storms in a way that is the most effective or adaptive or healthy for what we're trying to accomplish. And that's what we're going to talk about next. All right, so we're going to use this little structure that I like here. And on the left side of the screen, that line with the little heart rate monitor at the bottom, that's physiological arousal. So when we're talking about emotions, we're talking about feelings, right? Your body reacts. And so that line is the intensity of how much your body is reacting. And then the horizontal line across the bottom, that's time, okay? So we're going to see our emotional reaction over time. And what happens is when something happens, when a situation happens, we have a strong emotional response to it. That physiological arousal spikes up. And the first thing we want to do is just recognize that, is just be aware that we're having an emotion. The next thing we want to do is focus on relaxing, trying to bring that emotional reaction down a little bit. When it gets down to a low enough point, then we want to distract ourselves from the emotion, and that will help the physiological arousal continue to drop. And then after it's gone to almost back to baseline or close to baseline, that's when we start to actually problem solve and think about whatever issue that we're having. So we're going to go through each of these in detail, starting with recognize. So the first thing we want to do when we're having a powerful emotional experience is just to recognize that and to kind of admit that to ourselves. And I know that seems really obvious, but this is why last week we started out talking about emotional self-awareness. That the very first step to dealing with your emotions is being aware of them. One time I was driving to a party with a girl that I was dating at the time, and we were getting a fight over something. I can't remember. It was something stupid, right? And we're like talking, and she's like, "Why is this making you so angry?" And I'm sitting there, and I've got my hands wrapped around the steering wheel where like my knuckles are like bright white, right? And my jaw is clenched, and my eyes are narrowed, and I'm talking like this, and I'm like, "I am not angry," right? Which is like obviously ridiculous. I was angry, but I don't like being angry, and I especially don't like being angry at the people that are close to me, the people that I love. And so I was having this very powerful emotional reaction, but I genuinely wasn't even aware of it myself. I didn't want to be aware of it, right? So the very first thing you need to do when you're having an emotional reaction, a powerful emotional experience, is just to say, whoa, okay, we're getting a little angry here, or we're getting very sad, or these things. And to realize that when we are under the influence, when we are under the spell of an emotion, that's going to influence the way we think, and our behaviors, and to say to ourselves like, whoa, okay, I'm pretty angry right now. Let's just, take into account that this will pass. Emotions tend to pass pretty quickly within a few minutes, and that I should be careful about what I say or do during that time. It really helps to be empathic with yourself. Powerful emotions are often very unpleasant, right? Like it doesn't feel good to be really angry. It doesn't feel good to be really anxious or to be really scared or really sad. And the first thing we need to do is to have empathy for ourselves of like, oh, okay, you're kind of in pain here. That your emotional experience is unpleasant. So like, something happened in the world around you, and that already sucks. And then on top of that, we have this unpleasant emotional reaction to that thing, and that sucks even more. And that alone of just being like, whoa, okay, this is unpleasant. Like, it sucks that I have to go through this right now. And to have a little empathy for yourself can be one of the most powerful ways to bring that emotion down almost immediately. All right, So we have an emotional spike. The first thing we do is recognize that we are experiencing that emotion. The next thing we do is we want to relax. We want to bring that physiological reaction down a little bit. There's a lot of different ways to relax and to kind of curtail that really powerful, immediate emotional reaction. One thing you can do is you can often just leave the situation. In movies and in television, I would always see like characters like, go to the bathroom and splash cold water on their face when they were really emotional. And that always seemed really stupid to me. And then I tried it, and it's a really effective way to kind of calm yourself down. And so if you're in a situation where you're really upset, and if you could just take, a minute to sneak off to the bathroom and splash some cold water to your face, that can really help bring you down pretty quickly. We'll also, in class, I'll show you guys how to do progressive muscle relaxation. So this is basically like you just focus on different parts of your body and on relaxing the muscles, kind of going all the way through your body. And that can also be very effective for helping you relax. Another thing you can do is focus on your breath. So we'll also do this activity in class as well, where we'll do some mindfulness of breathing and just paying attention to the feeling of the breath going through our nostrils. That can help calm us down. It's just it's rhythmic, it's relaxing. We can feel our lungs kind of swelling and going down and swelling and going down. And it's like being comforted almost when you pay attention to your breath. So those are some different techniques to help you relax. One of the things that I find really helpful is to have a poker face, where we have this fear that we're wearing our emotions on our sleeve, right? That when we're having this powerful emotional reaction, everyone can just instantly see this on us. And that's not true. For those of you that I had in business communication, you remember that you'd get up to give a presentation and you would be so nervous, but the audience didn't see that. They weren't able to see that nervousness. And so we often feel like we're being transparent with our emotions. And we have the ability to kind of develop this kind of flat affect, this stoniness, this poker face, where when we're dealing, especially with the first 2 or 3 minutes of a powerful emotional reaction, that we can kind of put on this face and nobody on the outside knows what's going on with us. So I would highly encourage you to develop a poker face. And to make it almost a reaction, that as soon as you have this powerful emotional reaction in a place where maybe you don't feel comfortable being emotionally expressive, that you're able to put on this poker face and start doing some relaxation techniques and take control.